Back with another video for you today. I recently received a message from one of my followers on Instagram, and they were asking about two fragrances from the house of Parfums de Marly, Layton and Layton Exclusif, and they said which one should they get. They are on the younger side, and they just recently got out of the Paris boutique for Parfums de Marly, and they smelled and they're thinking they want to get this, but he seems to think that he's a little too young for this. So today I'm going to compare these two fragrances and I'll give you my opinion on what he should get. So if you're curious to watch this video and learn about these two fragrances if you still don't know, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today we're talking about Layton versus Layton Exclusif, both from the house of Parfums de Marly. Both fragrances I've been a fan of, and they are a little different even though they are, you know, it's the same creation, just one is a little more, I guess I shouldn't really call it an intense fragrance. It's a different take on Layton, whereas they both smell similar, but they go in a different direction after you're wearing them. So I'll tell you about this, and I'm going to read you the note I received from this subscriber or follower of mine on Instagram. But before we do that, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So Parfums de Marly's Layton is a fragrance that I've loved for a long time. I like the whole apple thing that's in here. And then when they came out with Exclusif, I felt like it was a really, really great take on the original. But I've been doing some research prior to doing this video on Parfums de Marly's website, and the notes are kind of confusing to me, and I feel like almost they're not including every single note in the fragrances, and so we're kind of left with a guessing game. Although they do have the actual notes breakdown, and then within like a what do you call it, a paragraph or two, they've added additional notes, a few additional notes, not a lot. So according to the databases, they list a lot more notes than what Parfums de Marly is actually claiming to be. So I'm assuming there are other notes in the fragrance, and people on Fragrantica have discovered them, so they added them there. So I'm going to go with what Parfums de Marly says on their website, and I'll read you the notes. But Layton came out in 2016. It's created, both of them actually are created by Hamid Merati-Kashani, and this is, as I said, 2016 launch for this one. And the notes you have: top apple, bergamot; in the heart, jasmine, violet; in the base, vanilla, pepper, and precious woods, with caramelized coffee. With Layton Exclusif, it's a 2017 launch. With this one, notes you got top, bergamot, and grapefruit; in the heart, geranium, cinnamon, cardamom; in the base, Cypriol, Guaiac, wood, essence of sandalwood. Now, both fragrances I get cardamom from. I feel like there's cardamom in both, but they claim there's cardamom here, there's not in here. So I get cardamom in both, and I'm just going to say that there's cardamom in these fragrances. For prices, these are suggested retail prices. A 75 ml bottle of Layton is $215. 125 ml bottle is $310. With Layton Exclusif, 75 ml bottle is $290. With 125 ml bottle is $390. So this one's definitely pricier. And I'm going to tell you what the differences are. So I'm going to read you the message that I received. I had to put my glasses on. Hello, Sebastian. Please, can you give me some advice for Layton versus Layton Exclusif? I just got home from the Parfums de Marly store in Paris, and they gave me samples from the two scents, but I feel like I cannot take a decision without exterior advice that are more educated fragrance-wise. I smelled both, and I feel like the Exclusif one suits me better subjectively, but objectively it should be a little bit weird to smell such complex and dark fragrance on a 19-year-old guy like me. And since I'm working and studying, I don't know if the Exclusif one could be overwhelming for a frequent use in closed environments, such as a classroom or an office. Thank you for your time, if you can give me an answer. So that's the message. Yeah, you know, I can see his frustration. He's young and he's concerned about what other people think about the fragrance. Personally, I wore fragrances in the 90s when I was in film school, art school, and I know people reacted some negatively to me, and you know, I don't really give a crap what people say. I'm gonna wear fragrance. I mean, if I have to smell somebody's body odor, which usually happens everywhere, I think it should be fine for other people to smell fragrances, but you have to be comfortable with it. I say, if you're not comfortable with it, then go with your own hunch and not wear strong fragrances, or not wear specific things you think that you shouldn't wear. So let's go to the fragrances actually. Both of the fragrances starts off very fresh. One more thing I forgot to mention, I feel like there's apple in this one as well, and they say there's no apple in here. So it's interesting that they've turned it around. They say there's cardamom in here and there's cardamom in here. For me, I get it. And they say there's apple in here. They don't say apple in here, but I get apple in both of them. So it's an appley vanillic fragrance. that's what I characterize these two fragrances. It's an oriental style with vanilla, of course, but it's a fruity oriental style fragrance. Less fruity here, more. Both of them have a very aromatic, spicy note of cardamom for me. And again, as I said, they don't claim that there's cardamom here, but there is here. So it's a little confusing. But with this one, they both start off very fresh, but the freshness doesn't last a long time. They pretty much work the same way for me, but this one actually goes in a different direction on the dry down, and something Animalic pops through, almost like castoreum, and it gets very leathery, dark, smoky on me at the end when it's all dried down to the end. So it says that there's Cypriol here, Guaiac wood, and essence of sandalwood. So there's no vanilla listed here either. So I should have read what notes are not missing. Vanilla is not listed here, but you know, I do get the vanilla in here as well. It's just both of the fragrances feel like it's the same fragrance except for the things that are happening in the fragrance. And up until the dry down, they both smell very similar. In fact, this one smells a little lighter on me. I feel like it's a little more subdued, but overall, both fragrances are pretty intense, and they don't act like one's a lot more intense than the other. Like the exclusive version doesn't act like it's beast mode compared to this, because both of them are pretty intense and long lasting. But I feel like next to the two, when you compare the two side by side, this one seems a little subdued compared to this. Does that make sense to you guys? And I'm saying this again, neither is a wimp. They're pretty intense, beastly fragrances. It's just when you're comparing the two, this feels a little lighter. You experience less density compared to this one. But the fragrance experience is both similar, just minor nuances when you're wearing them. And the only change in this one is I do get something Animalic. Almost seems like there's castoreum, not civet. And according to Fragrantica, it says that there's civet listed, which... is it civet? For me, castoreum is used to create this leather accord, and this actually settles to like a smoky leather, charred leather kind of a background on me in comparison to this. This one keeps going with the vanilla. It's a great vanilla dry down. The vanilla is there, and it fizzles to a vanilla kind of a slightly sandalwoody kind of a concoction. But here it's so different compared to the two. So when I was doing my test of comparing them side by side, you definitely notice the differences in how different they are. But when you wear them outside, like not outside, but when you wear them separately, it's mostly the similar experience. You know, they just settle something differently, but when you're comparing the two, you definitely notice the difference. So this one actually, I feel like if a 19-year-old is asking the question, which is what this guy was asking me, if he's thinking about the question and not wearing it, I feel like go with your hunch, go with the original. I feel like the original seems to be more fun and younger, even though it's an intense experience. It's definitely not designer experience, but I feel like the vanilla and the fruitiness on the top notes, and according to this, it has the caramelized coffee. The whole entire combination should be very, very suited for a 19-year-old who has a more advanced palate than wearing something from the department store. So if he thinks this is better suited for him, he should definitely do it. But if he's fine being a little daring and going with a more expensive option, then why not, you know? Just be warned that this has that kind of slight smoky, charred, leathery kind of experience of the dry down with a little bit of Animalic touches. And again, I don't know if it's civet or it's castoreum, but for me, I get more like a castoreum experience. Not overly Animalic, just lightly. It just makes it for a deeper, richer experience. And those of you that might be tired of something extra sweet and you want something a little more savory in the dry down, this is probably going to do it for you. But overall, as an experience, they're both the same fragrance. I don't know why the notes are so different. Yes, there's nuances between the two, but in the end, I get pretty much the same thing up until the dry down, whereas this one dries down to a very creamy vanilla, caramelized coffee and precious woods note, and again, this one just that charred, leathery kind of a concoction with no vanilla. I mean, the vanilla is there at the beginning, as I said, but the vanilla doesn't appear at the bottom in the base notes, so it acts really differently at the dry down. Those are my differences, and again, if you guys are deciding on wearing a fragrance and you're not comfortable with it, I think go with your hunch. Grow into it rather than do something daring if you think this is daring. I mean, this follower thought to himself, oh my God, I'm not sure if I can pull this off, especially since I'm going to a class and all that good stuff. Let me ask somebody. And again, my thinking is, if you think you can't do it, don't do it. If you think you can, do it. And if you think that you want to grow into it, you should. I mean, this is a very expensive fragrance on its own. It's suggested retail, so you do have to, you know, spend a pretty penny to get these. I'm not sure how much they are in Paris, in France, but you know, they're a little less than here, but it's in euros, so in the end it converts to be about the same. So you're going to shell out money, and I would go with this one if I were you. Then kind of graduate into the exclusive version. Anyway, what do you guys think? Which one is your favorite? Do you have a favorite of these two, or maybe you don't like either of these fragrances and you have a different favorite Parfums de Marly fragrance? Let me know. Put a comment down. And yeah, other than that, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please do like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.